Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. This is JT. Now, I was going over something, and I ended up talking about Michael Jordan and the roadmap that he followed that led him to success, because it is biblically explained. First, I got to explain the success principle that he did. Then I can show you where it's tied into the Bible. Because, Yeshua says that I am the truth, I am the way, and I am the life. And he also tells people, if any man wants to be great, you got to first become a servant. You got to first become a slave and then a servant. And people think that that's only relating to just the physical church issues itself, but it's actually a roadmap. It's saying that he did not discourage greatness; he encouraged it. In another scripture, he says, if any man wants to be a chief, he needs to become a minister. Because he says that the Gentiles exercise authority and rule over them, but it shall not be with you. If anyone, so this is talking about ruling over people or ruling over, nations and stuff. But he says it's the Gentiles that exercise authority over them and rule over them, but it will not be that way with you. And then he says, if any man wants to be a chief, let him become a minister. If any man wants to be a ruler, let him become a servant. Just as the servant came to, serve, just as the Son of Man came to be served, to serve himself. Like he didn't come to be served, he came to serve and to give his life a ransom for many. So, servanthood isn't about taking, it's about giving, because that's what love is. Love is giving. Love is patient, love is kind. So he's showing that this is how you do to be great. This is showing that the kingdom is not a selfish kingdom. It's a kingdom that's selfless. It's about other people. From the greatest of these to the least of these. So where are these principles in the First Testament? Because remember that a lot of people, they read the Second Testament, but they don't read the First Testament. And they miss out on the blessings of the First Testament. Because if you only read the Second Testament, you only got the half the Testament. And the Second Testament is the fulfillment of the First Testament. It doesn't negate it. It doesn't overrule it. It's the fulfillment. This is what Yeshua said when he says, I didn't come to destroy, I came to fulfill. I came to fulfill. So what are the principles that it's talking about in the Second Testament? Well, look at the order that he gave Adam and Eve when he created them. In Genesis 1, he said, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth, subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowls of the bird, the fowls of the air, the beasts of the field. So, is this just talking about simply reproducing people? Is this simply talking about reproducing people? Be fruitful and multiply. Is this just talking about making babies? Remember I said I would talk about Jordan's success, how it's the principles that he did without even realizing that he did it, unless he understands Bible, and I don't know. But okay, now the work that you do, before you can become something, before you can do something, you got to first become the person who can do it. So Jordan spent a lot of time practicing basketball. He practiced basketball a lot. Remember, if people knew his story, they would know that he was cut from his high school basketball team. And he spent a lot of time practicing basketball, practicing. So this was the stuff that he did that wasn't in the camera's eye. And it's the same thing with a doctor, lawyer, people who have to go to school for years. Before a doctor could be successfully in the operating room, operating successfully, he has to go through years of study. Before a lawyer can successfully be inside the courtroom, litigating, doing things successfully, it takes years of studying law. The years that you spend studying, the years that you spend going through lab, preparing, these are things that you do in the dark that nobody sees, away from the light. And then when you finish your study, when you finish and you graduate and you're ready to go out into the field, these are the things that you do in the light. Now, this follows biblical principle, because what Jesus or Yeshua said is that if he obey my laws, keep my commandments, he will be as a tree planted by a river. His leaves shall not falter. I don't know all the scriptures. His leaves will not falter, and whatsoever he does will prosper. So, what's the principle of a tree? Being like a tree planted by the river. Remember, he said that, if any man has the faith as a grain of mustard seed, he will say to this mountain, be thou, remove yourself, be thrown into the sea. And, the mustard seed is the smallest of all seeds, but when it's fully grown, it becomes a real giant tree with huge branches and is able to support weight, birds, and all kinds of stuff. So that's talking about the time it takes to be from the mustard seed to the tree. So when a tree grows in the dark, first the seeds go down into the ground. This is the root. It's called gravitrophic because it grows towards gravity. And then once the roots are finished, then it grows up. It pushes out of the dirt and into the light. This is the phototropic, because it's growing towards the light. And then when it's grown, it can begin, when it grows up, it can begin to produce fruit. That people come for the fruit. People don't come to the tree for the tree. People come for the fruit. So this is the principle of root, shoot, and fruit. What Jordan did in the dark was the root. What he came out and did in the light was the shoot. And eventually people came to see the fruit. So that's the principle of be, do, have. Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it, and have dominion. There are people who want to do and have, but don't want to take the time to be. These we call criminals. Because before you can do, you have to first be.